Hey,
Yo,
we
how's it
made
going?
it. As soon as you put something in your mouth, I was like, yeah, we're going right now.
I don't have anything in my mouth. I just got a tongue. Blech.
Oh, you're chewing on your tongue. It's funny.
Yum.
When I was in
My tongue
school, we
tastes
weren't
great.
allowed to chew gum. And then, they'd be like, what are you chewing on? And some kid was like, my tongue. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, open your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they were
Yeah,
chewing on
yeah.
gum.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Give me a
Yeah,
little
of course they were.
nostalgia there for sure.
Tune on my tongue.
Yeah,
Yum, yum,
it's such a good
yum.
tongue, uh,
Blech.
from what I can imagine.
Oh yeah, it is really good. Like it can form words pretty sufficiently.
Mm-hmm.
It can do a variety of accents, though maybe not as sufficiently. Um, that's questionable at times. And it can do little tricks, and it can pretty much get anywhere in my mouth that I needed to get it. So it's a reliable tongue. I mean, it's
Yeah,
got some power behind it
that's
too.
good.
I can lift about I think it's like 38 pounds with my tongue, so that's pretty good.
38 pounds with your tongue.
No, okay, that one is entirely made up. Please don't put that down in my bio. I see if Sonny was here, he'd be like, all right, I'm putting that one down right
Put that
on
one in.
his.
Yes, yes, exactly.
hmm
That's where it belongs, right
Yeah,
there. Yes.
right on the Wikipedia article about Static P. Can lift 38 pounds with his tongue.
Yep. Somebody's gonna go put it there now, even if it's not Sonali.
Uh-huh,
Yep.
for sure.
Anyway, welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show that is all about you guys, all about your topics, the stuff that you might be going through, anything that you might be facing. We would love to hear about it. We'd love to talk about it. And you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and yeah, fill out the little form, and it will be good. I can get some links in here in the chat. This would be good. Any questions or worries, go to here. Dun, 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 dun. Right there. There's a link. You can go there and submit a topic, and we'd be happy to do it. So, yes, we are not professionals. We're not professional
Correct.
therapists. We're not professional counselors or attorneys or police officers or judges or doctors or anything like that. We are musicians, and we understand that life can be a mess sometimes, and it can be an emotional train wreck from time to time. And sometimes there are things that we face that are really, really complicated, and sometimes we do need the help of a professional. And I would definitely encourage you, if you are going through some kind of difficult time that you're having trouble figuring out, consider getting professional help, whether it's with a therapist, or sometimes if you're facing legal issues, you might need to talk to an attorney, or health issues, talk to a doctor. There are people that specialize in these things that can help. What we want to do on this show is we just want to be your friend. We want to help in any way we possibly can, just offer some perspective, some love and encouragement along the way. And yeah, because going through these journeys, even with a professional, it helps to have someone in your corner who's not necessarily attached to the situation, but just is there to offer you some support and some love and encouragement. And that's what we want to do in this short amount of time that we have on Wednesdays with you guys. So, yeah, again, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and feel free to share your topic. Another thing you can do is just write it in the chat here. If you have something that is on your mind and you'd like us to talk about, you can feel free to put it in the chat. We'd love to do that. You can reach us on email, dww@bss.studio. That's dww@bss.studio. And we will also get it there. Or you can direct message us on Discord. A lot of you guys know us on Discord. A lot of you guys are friends with us both on Discord, and you can
hmm
send us a message. If you don't happen to know our Discord, I believe we have at Static P, I think, I think that's Ryan's. And I think mine is
Mm-hmm.
at Pleb Nub. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how you would get in touch with us on Discord. So feel free to do that as well. Yeah, we'd just be happy to hear from you. So, yeah, I think that's all the logistical stuff. How are you guys doing tonight? You guys look really good in the chat. You guys doing all right out there? You look good. How are you doing,
Hope so.
Ryan?
Mm-hmm. I'm doing great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to be here. It's great to be on this show. It's great to be just um, you know, being able to do Don't Worry Wednesday is such a blessing and it's a greatest part of pretty much every week is just being able to be on the show and to potentially help some people and to and just move a conversation forward where someone might have a dilemma. Even if we don't necessarily help them, a lot of times it's just even just I guess in a way it's helping, but like it's not necessarily giving them the answer, but allowing them to see some things that they can move forward with is really great. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's great to be here. How you doing?
Oh, I'm wonderful. You know, it's interesting you mentioned that. Even friends sometimes when will you know when friends try and solve my problems for me, a lot of times I'm
Mm-hmm.
still likely to just go head first and beat my head against the wall and try the thing they told me not to try.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
like I definitely, I take action in that direction.
Mm, mm, mm.
And it's almost like sometimes I'm just
Yeah,
like, just
that's great.
because somebody told me what to do, I'm going to do the opposite just because.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's a thing.
mm-hmm, at Pleb Nub, is that,
Yep.
can you verify, Cats? Is that my Discord?
I think that should be. Looks great to
I'm
me.
pretty sure it's right. You know, we used to have a number attached to our names, and then like that was it. And then okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. And so then they changed everything, and so now we had to learn something new. And I'm still kind of, coming to terms with that and getting a grip on it. Oh yes, the Joe ambassador is Cats. That's for sure. Cats is also
Cats is the
my
ambassador of Joe.
the Joe ambassador.
Have you read the Book of Joe from
Oh,
cover to cover?
from cover to cover, the Book of Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You can't because the book has no covers, but it exists nonetheless
Mm.
in non-book form. It's just
Love
called the Book
Zay
of Joe.
Clan Media.
Mm.
Yes, you know what? I was like, I tried to love Zay Clan Media, but
Exists in your heart. Perfect.
oh, the Book of Joe. That's where it is. I've been looking for
Mm-hmm.
it. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
dig it
this whole
out of
time.
there.
Take it out of there. Wow.
So watch out.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
I'm coming with a
That's a
scalpel
statement.
and
Mm.
forceps.
And biceps
And
and
biceps.
triceps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
You're
how?
awesome. Um, yes. So anyway, welcome everybody. You guys are awesome. I'm glad to see you all here. Don't bring steaks. I won't bring steaks. I will bring pork chops and bacon.
Mm. Don't bring steaks near me. That's okay. I have the same problem, cats. Don't bring any pork near me. I'm all right.
Don't bring
I'm
pork.
allergic.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm allergic. Yeah, no
yeah.
bacon.
No bacon. Oh, but bacon is so
Yeah.
good.
Bacon is good as an ingredient on
It's,
things.
oh, it's
I'll admit to
good
that. It's pretty
by
good.
itself.
Uh, I think so. I like bacon by itself. Not gonna diss it. It's one of those things for me that's like I can only have so much before I'm just like I don't want any more. I think it's probably because of the high salt content. I don't know, but I can
Mm.
have about 2 or 3 strips, and I'm like, I can't have any more. I'm done. You know. At this point, it's kind of it's like not something I want to eat anymore.
Yeah.
You know how some things are with, everyone's different, but some things are like the more you eat it, the more you want more.
Mm-hmm.
And some things are like the more you eat it, you're just like, okay, I'm satisfied. I don't need any more of that. And so the bacon is one of those for me, but I still like it.
Mm-hmm. It is good. I could eat bacon. I can drink bacon grease. That's good too.
I know that you can. You love that. It's great.
Oh man, it's so good. There was one time I cooked bacon in the oven, and so like, you put it. Don't eat bacon with a walnut wood spoon. Okay. Um.
Does the
Uh.
wood spoon get eaten?
Maybe. I don't know.
What
I
happens?
I had this tray full of bacon grease, and then I had some bread, and I just like stuck the bread in the bacon grease and soaked up all the bacon grease and ate it because it was so good.
Mm. Oh, I see. Walnut is not
Oh,
food safe. It's toxic. Ah. Yeah, that's
gotcha.
true. Walnut is high in, what is it? Cyanide? Is that it? Sole, what is it? What's the chemical that's in walnut that's really, really intense? I know that you're not supposed to consume the shell that goes around the nut for the same reason. Cyanide,
Cyanide.
yummy.
Mm.
Yeah, well, despite its taste, no, I don't think anyone eats walnut wood and goes, yum. I don't think there's a temptation there.
Yeah, the wood has
Oh, you
toxic
forget off
oil
the
in
top of
it.
your head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So no
Yeah, it's
eating.
like
Don't
trace
chew
amounts
on a
of
walnut
something, but
spoon.
it's something that, yeah. It also dyes your skin.
Does it?
Did you know that? Yeah. If you if you go outside and you just see a walnut tree, specifically what I think they're called black walnut trees. If you just pick up the shells off the ground with your bare hands, you'll have your hands will be dyed and start burning
Wow.
because of whatever's on the nut. Yeah.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, you're fine to pick up most, but certain breeds have have that issue, and I think it's called a black walnut. My uncle figured that out because he he dyed his hands and they burned.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm. And then he did some research and he found out that that's a thing with certain walnut trees.
Yeah.
So anyhow, yeah, sidetrack. There you go.
Man, I got a whole bunch of black walnut trees lining like the back of my yard out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So now I know
Okay.
not to
Yeah, wear
do that.
gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah, wear gloves when you pick up the debris.
Is that juglone? Juglone? Juglone.
Oh, okay. I
I don't know what
I
that
I
is.
actually don't know what that is. I guess I was not informed of what it was. I just made it up. What is juglone? Jug
That might be the
juglone?
toxic that might be the
Juglone?
toxic oil, maybe.
Yeah, it must be the toxic oil. I just have no idea what it is.
Hey.
All right, Kent. You can I'm not your doctor, so I'm not your spiritual advisor either. Though if you want one, I guess I could try, but I think you do you. I
Yes.
don't know if Jesus is on your side, particularly in the event of you picking things up off the ground,
Hey, some
or
people
or
would
in,
say
in
that.
situations where you need gloves. Mm-hmm.
There are
Yeah.
religious leaders who claim that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a
Yeah. Well,
feeling,
it just
a lot of
depends
times when
on
people
what you're
do
doing.
something stupid, and it's like, I'm not going to get hurt because Jesus is on my side. And then they go do it and they die. And then they meet Jesus and they're like, what the heck? Where were you, man? And he's like, well, you're not supposed to do that, stupid. Like,
Wait, yeah. You said I was on your side. Well, here I am. Said, wait, this what you wanted? I'm on your side now.
yeah.
Like literally, here we are.
Really, right here next to you. Yeah.
Yeah, right beside you, man. Don't
Yeah,
know
he
why you
would.
did that.
He'd
That was
let you pick
dumb.
up silly trinkets. You can pick up all the silly trinkets you
Yeah.
want. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
So
Wow. Okay. Anyways,
awesome.
um,
Well, what do you
that's
say? We got some topics here. What do you say we do some
yeah. Let's
topics?
do it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we've got one that we got oh boy, it was a week ago from an anonymous person. And this is the one where, well, we do have some topics where people want to be present, but I don't see any of you guys present. If you have a topic and you're present, you can let us know in the chat, and we'd be happy to do your topic. But we'd have a couple here that are no preference. And so we can start with this one from Anonymous. It's called You Are the Present. Yes.
I am the
You mean
present.
like the gift or like the present time? Like a
Oh,
Christmas
both.
present. There we go. Yeah.
Oh, oh. Okay.
You are such a gift. Um,
Indeed. Absolutely. You are. You are indeed. We love having you. Sincerely, you are awesome, cats. We love you.
mhm.
You
um,
are a gift.
all right. So we have this topic, jealousy and counterproductive coping from Anonymous. And we're going to jump right into it. I had a chance to read through this quickly before the show, and it's definitely pretty intense. So
Mm.
we're going to jump right into it. I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can read along while I read it aloud. So here we go. There it is. This is jealousy and counterproductive coping from Anonymous. I've come to realize that my struggle with jealousy is more intense than I had originally thought. Recently, I witnessed one of my closest friends growing closer to someone new, and while I genuinely want them to be happy, I can't help but feel a sense of unease, the fear of being replaced. I've been actively working on managing my jealousy, but it still surfaces strongly at times. The most recent episode was when I noticed my partner engaging with someone else. I know deep down that my partner is committed to our relationship, but I can't shake the irrational fear that they deserve someone better than me. Watching them interact effortlessly with someone better triggers a whirlwind of emotions within me. Physically, it's overwhelming. My heart sinks and nausea washes over me. I find myself fixating on every way in which the other person is better than me, and it fills me with rage. To cope, I sometimes resort to pushing my loved ones away, believing that if I distance myself first, I won't have to face the possibility of them leaving. Unfortunately, this coping mechanism strains my relationships further. While I do my best to resolve these issues, I'm still scared that one day they'll grow tired of dealing with me and leave. From Anonymous. Anonymous,
Mm.
first of all, let me just say I am so sorry. I have been in this position before. I've been where you're at. I've been in the position of watching loved ones feel like they're pulling away, distancing themselves. I've experienced that, you know, a lot, as a matter of fact, and it always hurts. It always has this degree of pain to it, and it's weird because we become attached to people. And I've
Hmm.
learned in therapy that I have somewhat of an anxious attachment style, and so I'm always a little bit nervous as I grow closer to someone that, like, I'm going to do something wrong, that something is going to happen, and I start reading into things, and everything might be just fine, but I'm neurotic, and so, like, I'll start playing through all these scenarios in my head of what did I say? What did I do? And maybe I did nothing. Maybe everything is just fine, but it's just my brain playing tricks on me. So I can
Hmm.
definitely psych myself out. In the sense of a partner, well, you guys all know where I'm at on that whole situation. Um, shouldn't have a partner in the first place. I'm kidding. Um, I'm totally kidding. But
Yeah.
that can strike at an even deeper level because you have someone who is like you're in a committed, like monogamous situation with, and when you start to see that slipping away, and then we start to compare ourselves to the other person, and we start to think, oh my gosh, that person's
Mhm.
so much better than me in this way and this way and this way. They're better looking than me, or they're cooler than I am, or they're more talented, or whatever, or they make my partner laugh more, or whatever. There's all kinds of things that we can notice, and it can mess with our brains. And so I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're going through
Mm.
this, because it is very painful, and it can wrench our hearts tremendously. Um, Jealousy is not a fun feeling to have, and it can definitely lead to anger. Anger has become my friend. I've talked about that on previous episodes, and I may end up talking about it some here, in this topic, because anger can be a great motivator. It can be a great, get up and go, uh, type of feeling. But when it's jealousy, sometimes it can just be debilitating. And then, we don't have the motivation. We just sit there and stew in our feelings. So, Anonymous, I'm sorry that you are going through this, and my heart goes out to you. And if you're seeing this and you would like to talk further, as I said, I've experienced this. You can feel free to reach out to me on Discord. I'd be happy to talk to you about it, a little bit more in depth. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the best thing I can, and I'm going to hand it over to Ryan and let him talk about this topic. So, Ryan, take it away, my friend.
Sure. I'll give it a shot. You know, um, I I also sympathize with this on a lot of different ways. I remember definitely being in those shoes where I was, uh, yeah, you could say jealous, or maybe more accurately, um, anxious over other people's interactions with people in such a way that I was afraid of being replaced, and also in that sort of putting myself in a position where it's like where my brain thinks I own that person in the first place. Like
Mm,
that's my friendship. That's my person. Um, so anyhow, I kind of can relate to some of this, and I hope we can maybe work through some of it. Maybe hit at it from maybe a slightly different angle um, than you might have hit it yourself, or at least than other people might have hit it, in order to help you. I understand that you're already working on managing your jealousy, which is great. I do want to say that jealousy in itself, whether this is semantic or not, jealousy itself, it should be spoken about. It should be clearly defined, because jealousy isn't inherently a bad thing. And so to be jealous, you don't necessarily want to kill jealousy. Jealousy happens in its most basic sense. Jealousy is the desire for something that, uh, well, in some cases, it's the desire for something that should be rightly yours, but it's in someone else's possession. And in that case, one might get ahead of themselves and think they own something that they don't. And so then it becomes bad jealousy.
mm,
Um, so jealousy can be a good thing. To desire something, um, especially when you have justifications for desiring it, is a good thing, because it pushes you in the direction to fight for that thing, right? Like, for example, you have a partner. The That relationship, that very specific relationship, that romantic relationship, that is yours. And for someone else to take it away from you, for your partner to engage in certain activities or certain intimacies with other people might be something to justly be jealous over and something to rightly defend against, rightly go out of your way to help make sure XYZ doesn't happen or that other people aren't trying to throw themselves at your partner. For example, if someone is coming onto your partner, someone is trying to win your partner over in a romantic way, like they're flirting with them, for example. In that case, your jealousy might bring you to the correct action, which is to step in the way and say, hey, 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 don't flirt with my partner. They're my partner,
Hmm.
you know? And so jealousy isn't inherently bad. And so to manage it is a good word. And I applaud you on trying to manage it. I think I wish I could ask what you're doing, Anonymous. Don't come out and you don't have to answer or reply. And you can always send us private messages on Discord if you feel confident enough. But I am curious of what you're doing to manage your jealousy, because there's all sorts of different things that can be done, and some things work, some things might lead you to more harm later down the road. There's always, that possibility. And so I don't think that I necessarily have the right answer there either. I'm just more so curious at what you're doing, just to kind of get understanding, engaging where you're at in your struggle with this, where you're at, in your um, in your journey to overcoming this. That's probably the best way to say it. So anyhow, yeah, there's lots of different ways to manage, and one thing you don't necessarily want to do is bottle it up in such a way that it becomes like a balloon that bursts once it's too much, right? Um, you don't necessarily want to just constantly dismiss your jealousy or swallow it so that one day your brain keeps track of all of that and one day you have an explosion or a meltdown and it's a horrible experience. And I know I've experienced things like that, especially in deep or toxic relationships
Hmm.
where things you sort of just go, no, that's just me, doing that, that's just my brain being jealous, that's just whatever. And then a year down the road something happens and you go, no, you did this to me, you blah 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 blah, because your brain has been keeping track this whole time and saying, okay, this person's ticking me off, over and over and over. And with jealousy, it's kind of like you look at yourself and you blame yourself for being jealous, but your brain doesn't necessarily work that way, um, because system to it's a system which captures, um, how do I say this, patterns in the world. And so when you see other people um, at some point your brain will put all the experience that you've had over this jealousy issue, if you're not managing it in a way that's healthy, it will take all of that jealousy and say, no, I have been keeping track, and it has been these offenders who have been continuously making me feel blah 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 blah. So yeah, I'm just curious. I just wish the best for you and hope that you are assessing jealousy in the best way. Not that I know necessarily the best way, but it's just something to think about. Um, it's something to, on your time, to ask yourself, how am I managing my jealousy? What am I doing to um, help fix this? And what are the long-term ramifications of fixing it in the way that I'm fixing it? These are really important questions to ask yourself, since I'm not able to gauge that for you. And I think even if I heard what you have been doing, I might not be able to gauge it because I haven't been necessarily in your position and I don't know the outcomes, but you can gauge that yourself. You can look at how you're managing it and ask yourself, what are the long-term ramifications of managing it in this way? If they are good, then awesome. If you don't see any problems, that's awesome. But if it gives you the, if you can step outside yourself and look at yourself as though you were a patient of you, and you were able to look at how your behaviors of maybe dismissiveness or behaviors of rationalizing or justifying or or even unjustifying yourself. You're putting yourself in a position where you're like, no, I'm an idiot. No, I'm the one with the problem here. Even doing that, you can notice there can be some long-term ramifications that are bad, such as disliking yourself and thinking that you're an idiot and thinking that you're irrational, thinking that you are just a jealous person without, blah, blah, blah. And so you want to make sure that you go through this in a way that's healthy and builds yourself up. Obviously, you want to rightfully call yourself out where there's problems, which is what you're already doing. So I applaud you at that. But you don't want to justify your jealousy in such a way that, oh, jealousy is a great thing. I should always have jealousy, right? Obviously, you don't want that extreme either. But you want to be able to make sure you're building yourself up for a better future. And hating on yourself or calling yourself out, but not having a good, healthy inter-dialogue is going to have problems, is going to give you problems later, right? So you need to make sure that internal dialogue, while you are tackling this problem that is internal, that is clearly you doing something that is not good, you want to make sure you maintain a healthy relationship with yourself so that you can trust yourself to move forward in this, rather than end up in a position where you don't trust yourself and you think that you are just all wrong in your head, right? Because you've continued to build yourself down and continued to dismiss yourself, continued to think that, whatever. So I just want to preface that because I think that's really important as you manage anything with yourself, as you manage anything moving forward, noticing problems and trying to fix them. It's great. And you should absolutely do that. And everybody should be noticing their own problems and trying to fix them. But looking at how they're talking to themselves, looking at their relationship with themselves so that they don't cause more problems for themselves later on. The problem you're dealing with is not more important than the relationship you have with yourself. Because if the relationship you have with yourself falls apart, then that problem is that's just like, I don't know, a little bit of pepper on top of your macaroni and cheese. Like that, it's nothing. It's like you have so many other problems now because you've destroyed your internal relationship, that this jealousy thing is not going away, because now you can't fix it because you can't talk to yourself. You can't manage yourself anymore because you don't trust yourself, blah, blah, blah. So I just want to make sure that you're staying healthy there and that you're able to open that dialogue with yourself and be friendly with yourself and encourage yourself to move forward here. Because here's the thing, you're not crazy. All of this stuff you're saying, yeah, it's got some deep-seated problems. It's got some deep-rooted issues, more than just jealousy, for sure. And that's the way it normally is. But none of it is particularly unsolvable. None of it is probably none of it is really your fault. You didn't decide to get here, and none of it makes you like a crazy, unfixable, unhelpable, unchangeable, just broken human being. All this stuff is very normal for all of us to go through. I think most of us have gone through something like this as we have gone through life. Some of us have solved it. Some of us have not. I know people who are, in their 80s who are still working on this problem. I think they've given up. They're not really working on it. That's the truth. They're like, that's who I am. And it's like, okay, great. But so I applaud you for looking at this sincerely and saying, I want to be a better person. I want to be a better person for the people around me. And I recognize that what I'm doing is destructive. And I think that's awesome. So props to you, mad props. Um, and I want to honor that. And I think that's really great. But know that you're not, um, in no way is this problem such an such a crazy thing that you should belittle yourself or think that you can't be helped,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you are maintaining, or if not just maintaining, developing a healthy relationship with yourself, an encouraging relationship with yourself that says, sure, yeah, this is a problem. This is a problem many people have, and I have it too, and that's okay. I got here. I don't know, maybe I don't know how I got here. I got here one way or another. Here I am. I've got this internal problem. It's probably not my fault, but here I am. What do I do to work on it? What do I do to solve it? What are the steps? A, B, C, D. Let's go through them. Not the other way around where you're like, oh man, I'm such a failure. I'm always doing this. I'm always messing things up. Look at that person out there. They're better than me. And that's why, they can effortlessly have conversations and it looks great with them. It's like if you talk that way to yourself, then you're going to develop more problems because you are creating a unhelpful relationship with yourself. You are taking time to literally destroy your relationship with yourself so that all you see is the enemy when you look inside, because you are the enemy inside you, and that's all you can see because that's how you treat yourself. So some of this is kind of leading me to think that that's how you treat yourself, especially with you comparing yourself to them, to other people, and that's some of the source of your jealousy. I want to encourage you to encourage yourself to move beyond this issue. Don't manage yourself like a bad manager at a business. Like you've probably heard about, like I'm sure even if you're in school or if you're, whatever, I'm sure you've heard about bad managers, like literally all they do, like they don't do anything very good themselves, but they sit there and they criticize everybody and they say, work, 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 work. You're not getting work done, blah, 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 blah. And they're just pushing people around, right? And it's not nice. It's not helpful. They're not helping. They're like literally not helping. They're just yelling at you to do to do a better job. And it's like, you're a terrible manager. Sure, you can manage people. Yeah, you can manage people that way. You can get them to do things because you're threatening them with their position at their job or their pay rate. But like that doesn't make your relationship with them good. And in fact, it destroys your relationship with them. And so if you had to deal with them on a daily basis, you would hate your life because they're just a sore in your side constantly, like a thorn in your side, rather. A thorn in your sore side. And so my point is, yeah, you can manage yourself, but don't be a bad manager. Be a manager that is kind and helpful. Like you can imagine the opposite kind of manager. There's a problem in the business. Maybe someone's not getting enough work done. The manager comes to them and says, "Hey, I want to be your friend first. So can we I want to understand what's going on in the situation so we can tackle it together, because this problem of yours is the company's problem. It's my problem too. And so I want to work through this to, you know, so that we can all be happier. So what is going on that you're not able to get as much work done? Is something going on, that's getting in your way? Can you show me what, systems you're using, blah, blah, blah. And you can do all of this in a friendly way. Yeah, it doesn't feel good to be questioned by anybody, right? Even someone who's a friendly manager, if you are in a prideful state of mind, like most of us are, because we haven't figured out fully how to embrace humility and that virtue, and don't worry about that. All of us struggle with that. But most people's like, if even the nicest manager in the world can be like, hey, buddy, I'm willing to help wherever I can, and I'm just here for you. I recognize there's some issues going on. I just want to, talk about it. Anybody with pride goes, oh, it's like he's insulting me. He thinks he's better than me. He thinks he can help me with my problem. It's my problem. I can solve you've got all these different thoughts flooding into your head, whatever they are, and they're prideful thoughts. And yeah, even the kindest manager, you can have those thoughts with, right? And so think about that. And they're not even inside of you. So when you talk to yourself, you can be that way with yourself and just be like, dismissive of yourself. You can say like, I don't trust myself, blah, blah, blah. Even when you have a nice tone with yourself, right? Just because you're questioning something that is relating to you and who you are at your essence, who you are, who you've built yourself up to be, and what your deepest problems are, right? And so when you talk to yourself, it's really important to encourage yourself and to stick with it. Because when you talk to those managers that are good, when they stick with you through your problems, you come to love them and appreciate their help. And if you do that with yourself, even if at first it's off-putting, right? Just like with that nice manager, it's off-putting that they're coming to you in the first place, right? But if you stick with yourself, if you decide you're doing it as a team with you and yourself, right? You're going to be encouraging yourself. At the end of that, while you're going through the journey, not even at the end, while you're going through the journey, you will start to like yourself more. And that will solve a lot of your problems of you comparing yourself with others. And it will solve a lot of your problems with your jealousy. Because I think a lot of your jealousy comes from looking at your own relationships or whatever they are and thinking that you're going to fail them, that you're going to lose them, that they are eventually going to be destroyed because you're broken. You're not good enough. You're not lovable. But all of those things aren't true statements. And I know sometimes in life we can look back and say, well, they are true because I have examples of where I've failed and I've destroyed friendships and blah, blah, blah. And these are my examples that I'm pointing to. It's like, okay, it doesn't make it true just because you have examples. Because it's like not related to where you are right now. You can build examples into your life and your brain automatically will. Like, our brains they like to, what's the word? When you live an experience and starts with an E. Man, I hate when I lose words. Anyways, it's like, I'm just gonna use the word example. You live an experience and you use that experience to justify something that you believe is true, whether it's true or not, right? As the way I'm gonna say it.
I can't think of
And
the
we
word
do
either.
that. Yeah, we do that. We look at life and we have a lens that we view it through. And whenever we experience something, our brains go, aha, I knew it. That's proof that blah, blah, blah. That's proof that, it's like you could watch politics and do the same thing. You can go through life and hate yourself and say, see, I told you I'm a sucky person. You can do the opposite where you're like, aha, I knew I was the best person in class. I knew I was the smartest, And it's like every experience is a chance for you to proclaim what you already believe, to support it, to give evidence. There's the word evidence. You have to give evidence to something, whether it's true or not. And so as you go through life, you might think that you're crap. You're not a great person. You don't compare well with other people because other people are just so much better than you. And everything in your life is going to be evidence of that because that's what your brain has been trained to look at. That's how your brain's been trained to look at things. That all of it is evidence to back up that you're not as good as these other people, or that your relationships will inevitably fail at some point or another, because they all have. Every one of them already has. And it's like, well, that's not a true statement. You're in a relationship right now. That's not a true statement. You are literally, you have relationships. So why do you think that? It's because your brain has built up evidence and told yourself that, but it's not true. Same thing with, you looking at yourself and thinking that you're not physically attractive, or you're not emotionally attractive, you're not spiritually attractive, you're not attractive to other people because you're just not fun to be around, or you're not the the spotlight of in the spotlight of the party. People don't look at you and be like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. You think that's true, and you have lots of evidence to back that up, that you're not as good as other people. But that has no basis on truth. You are who you are. You are who you are. That's you. So stop hurting. Stop being mean to that person. That's just who that person is. And that person can become more outgoing, can become more attractive to other people if they work on it. Absolutely. So that person isn't just stuck there, right? People can change their actions and how they interact with other people. People can change their relationships. Their relationships are always moving. People can change what they like or what they dislike. People can change, right? And that's you too. And so to criticize yourself and say, well, I don't compare to other people. And it's like, well, no one compares to anybody, first of all. And then second of all, to say that you're not as good, I'm sure you have plenty of evidence to back that up. But there's more evidence, if you will, to fight against that thought. If you look out in the world and you say, well, that person's, first of all, I don't know them to every degree, so I don't know in what ways I'm better than them. So it's not fair of me. My brain is only noticing the things that they're better than me at. So it's not fair for me to make an assessment on this issue. Maybe, and thing is, I'm assessing them and I'm saying, oh, they're so good at talking. They're much better at talking than I am. That could be totally false. That's just a statement you made up. That could be totally false. You don't know that. You might think that because of one encounter or a couple of encounters that you've seen, but in reality, like, you don't know how they talk to their mom. You don't know how they talk with their parents. You don't know how they talk with strangers. You don't know how they talk with everybody. And so you're just picking. You're cherry picking. And all of our brains do that to prove what we already believe inside. And I want to crush that, if that's okay, because you don't deserve that. You never deserved that. You've never, no one's done anything ever to deserve to cherry pick failure for themselves. To cherry pick that they're not as good as other people, to a point where they become jealous of everybody else who has a relationship with their friends. No one deserves that. No one's done anything. It's like, that should not be a part of life. But here we are, right? And so that's okay. Now we're here. And that's good.
Don't be shitting on us, Ryan.
Because yeah. Oh, okay. Well, all of this is good because now you have the ability to change it, but you also have the background of living this life and going through this and experiencing all of this turmoil and pain to recognize the reason you were feeling pain is because something was wrong. The reason you are feeling like this is bad is because it's bad. Or in other words, it's clear to you already that you're worth more. Because when something hurts, it means something's wrong, right? And so if it hurts that you are in this position because you have a bad interdialogue, because you don't treat yourself well, because you think that you're crap, well, the thing that's wrong is that you think you're crap. Because you are not crap, you're amazing. You're an amazing individual. I don't even need to know you, Anonymous, because you know that other people are amazing,
Mm.
don't you? You already pointed out in your thing. You say, all these other people, they're so good, you know? And it's like, yeah, they are. And that's awesome that you can see that. That's beautiful. That's great. That's a good thing. And it shouldn't feel bad when you notice that. The reason it feels bad when you notice the greatness of other people is because deep inside, you're using all of that as leverage to hurt yourself.
Mm.
But you shouldn't be doing that because you're worth more than that. And the evidence of that is that you feel pain when you do that. You're struggling. It doesn't feel good. The reason it, yeah. Anyway, you get it. I think you get it.
Mm.
My point is, you're worth so much more than you're giving yourself credit for. And so I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to give it over to Joe. I talked for a really long time, and I'm so sorry. I had a long tangent. But anyways, I'm gonna give it over to Joe. I think that's definitely the best thing I can do at this point.
There's
So
there is no need to be sorry. You said a lot of really good stuff, and you hammered home the point that this person, like Anonymous, you are valuable, and really that's really the underlying issue. I think when we look at somebody and we're jealous of relationships, and we're jealous and we think that we're going to get left behind, or we think whatever, a lot of it stems from a feeling of inadequacy in ourselves. And I'm really glad, Ryan, that you hammered that point, that it's just a false perception in our mind when we think, oh, this person is better than me, this person is, like, anytime we think that, it's wrong, because we're all infinitely valuable in and of ourselves,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, all of us have these features. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to post a link in the chat. This is where I got sent from my therapist. This is about attachment styles in relationships. Now, this pertains to romantic relationships or friendships or whatever. And basically, it's how we attach ourselves to other people in these relationships, right? And how and a lot of it stems from our upbringing in this theory.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is you can kind of read through this article. I think there's probably a test in there somewhere, and it's good to understand. It's good to understand yourself, because you can change to have a more secure attachment style if you have an avoidant attachment style, or a anxious attachment style, or some kind of a disorganized, which is a combination of avoidant and anxious. I have a little bit of what you're talking about. It sounds to me from your description that there might be a little bit of a disorganized. You might have a combination of some anxiety and the avoidant, because you're talking about the fear of losing them, but your instinct is to push people away so they don't leave. So you kind of do it first, right? So you don't have to feel the pain of them leaving, and I definitely have done this before many times, where I've pushed people away because I didn't want to be left behind. And it's weird because we end up by ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
in both ways. It's just that I felt a little bit more empowered. I felt like I was, like the one in control of the situation, and that might be a control issue that I was having at the time or whatever. But we can come to terms with that attachment style that we have, and we can fix it. There are steps we can take. We can start to understand some of these things, like what Ryan was talking about. We understand these truths about ourselves and about others and about relationships in general. We can start to have a more secure attachment style and understand. There's some really good stuff in the chat. Riku said, I also have some big problems with jealousy, but I know I have. Sometimes I get angry at my friends and act really petty, but reflect on it afterwards and then go and excuse myself properly. Explaining to other
That's
people what
great.
happened to you in the moment, like, hey, sorry, I was being a bit jealous there of XY. I know that was childish of me. Sorry it happened. And my friends are understanding. And so, like, these are things you
That's
can
really great,
come.
Riku.
It absolutely is. Like, because then what it does is it brings light to the situation. And
Mm.
anytime that we're harboring something inside and we're keeping it a secret, it's in the dark, right?
Yeah, you have
And
to bring your own darkness into the light to fix it,
exactly,
and it's
exactly.
scary
And when we
because
and when
it
we
looks bad.
when we bring it forward and we apologize to our friends about it, whatever, or we bring it to light, then a lot of it dissipates. A lot of that fear goes away because now it's out there, right? And now
Mm.
you can work on it together and you can talk and talk about it. Um, Nyansai, excuse me, says, for me, I just give up control and let people make their own decisions and feel confident in being able to deal with whatever outcome comes out of it. You know what? I'm jealous of you because I want to have that feeling and I don't, right? Because I don't always feel confident that I'll be able to deal with whatever outcome. Now, here's the thing. I've lived long enough to know that I can handle pretty much anything life brings my way. And if it kills me, well, I guess that's my time. And I'm like, well, whatever, right? Like, I'm here for as long as I'm here for. And whatever happens is going to happen. I've I've dealt with people leaving me abruptly. I've dealt with people leaving me in a long and drawn out process where I could see it happening and I could watch them. You know, I've dealt with, a
Hmm.
marriage that probably died about, 10 years before the divorce actually happened, and then holding on through all that time period, right? And dealing with all of the stuff that comes as a result of that, and watching just all this insecurity and wanting to hold on to it and feeling so inadequate. There's so much of that in there. It's just ridiculous. Like, ugh. I think back, and it just blows my mind how ridiculous I've acted sometimes. But I've definitely, not long ago, I had a friendship where I watched it die long. I watched it like long, drawn out death. And it started with this friend of mine developing a romantic relationship, developing the very beginnings of a romantic relationship. And I got triggered by that because all of my romance issues, you guys all know about that, right? And so, like, romance to me is people trying to control each other. That's my experience of romance, where, like, somebody trying to control me and then take me away from my friends. And I dismantled my friendships, in the early stages of my romantic relationship because that's what romance was. And that's what this relationship was. It was all encompassing. And so to me, when I see romance and I see romantic advancements and I see all this kind of stuff, I just like I get triggered by this sense of like control and like feeling like I'm going to be controlled. Or when I see somebody going in that direction, I'm like, oh well, there they go. And I just like in my mind I kind of write them off. And it's not right for me to
Mm.
do that, you know, because it's, like it's not, that's not what romance is supposed to be. I've learned this. I don't know necessarily what romance is supposed to be, and maybe I don't even really care, but um I just, from my perspective, I saw that and I see romantic partnerships and I'm like, "Oh, there's people controlling each other or at least trying to." And it's there's a repulsive bit about that in my life, right? So I have trouble with that still. But anyway, all that aside, I still had an attachment style to people that was pretty anxious. And, part of that was brought on by, as I was growing up, the way that I grew up. And some of it, I think, was brought upon by the romantic relationships that I experienced. I experienced two deep ones, and they were both like that. Like very controlling, very encompassing, very like surrounded me and enclosed me, and I couldn't be who I wanted to be. I couldn't be myself. And it was really, really frustrating. And so anytime I'd want to be myself, like I'd be like, oh my gosh, like now I'm scared I'm going to lose this relationship, and I don't want to lose it because I love this person, but it wasn't healthy. So here's the thing you can ask yourself, these relationships that we're attached to, are they healthy? Because maybe they're not. I don't know.
Can you expand upon that just a little bit by defining a little bit what healthy is? Like what kind of and my reason for that is like to ask like sort of to point out what's unhealthy and what is healthy and that kind of thing.
Honestly, I don't necessarily know exactly what to define as healthy, but I can define what unhealthy is when you're trying to be somebody you're not in order to keep
Right. Yeah,
somebody
thank you. That's
around.
exactly what I was asking for. Yeah. Because if you're
That's
not allowed
unhealthy.
to be who you are, then how is that going to be healthy for
Right.
you
And
as a person to grow or anything?
Yep. And if the fear of losing a relationship makes you do all kinds of things that aren't you, that aren't being yourself, that's not a healthy situation, right? Because like it's a weird thing. We kind of put our best foot forward a lot of times in the early stages of a relationship, even friendships, right? We try and, look like, somebody worth being a friend with, or a romantic partner or whatever. But we can easily take it too far and start to become something we're not. And with the I want to say with the right person, but it's actually the wrong person. You
Sure.
change who you are totally. And then you lose who you are. And then you're all of a sudden like, and that's been my journey for a long time, is trying to rediscover who I am, what makes me tick, these little things. And I have memories from years ago, like all this, and trying to figure all that out. But here's the thing, you should be able to be you. You should be able to be authentic. And if they don't like you for who you are, then that's not a real friendship anyway. If they like somebody that you're faking being, then they don't like, how do you know if they like the real you or not until you are the real you in front of them? Right? And I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to come at you loudly. I know this is a painful experience, but I want to just impress upon you
Hmm.
that you are valuable, and who you are at your core, you yourself are valuable and are worth being friends with and are
Hmm.
worth loving.
Absolutely.
You, with all your foibles and faults and everything, because we all have them, we all have stuff, and it's okay. But who you are is worth loving. And when you can internalize that, it helps our attachments. See, I thought the problem then, when I started to notice this problem with the way I attach to people, because we attach to people in all kinds of different ways, whether it's romantic or just friendships or business relationships, even, we attach to people. And I thought the problem was attachment. And I was like, okay, well, now I have this goal to be totally detached from everybody and everything and just be detached from it all. And my therapist was like, had to rein me back in and be like, no, no, no. The problem isn't attachment. The problem is the style of attachment. When you attach and you automatically feel anxious about losing it, that's a problem.
Hmm.
That's the problem that needs to get
Hmm.
resolved. And that's a deeper issue that gets resolved by what Ryan was talking about with that healthy self-image, that healthy self-esteem, understanding that you are valuable and you are worth loving. And you are loved, maybe by people you don't even realize. You are loved deeply by people you may not even realize. And sometimes we take that for granted. Sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
take the people who love us for granted because they love us. And so then, we're like, okay, well, they love us. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to try because I know they're going to be there, and we take it for granted. And then all of a sudden, like, maybe we start to feel them pulling away because we've been taking them for granted. And, then all of a sudden now they're gone or whatever, right? I've been through that before too. It's a weird, crazy thing. But sometimes the more secure we feel in a relationship, the more likely we are to take it for granted. And that's a shame. Because we should act loving toward the people that we love. And
Yeah, that's
downside is,
interesting.
what's that?
Yeah, I said, yeah, that's interesting. They were too self-absorbed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, Deontay has an update. Not saying I come out unscathed, just that life goes on. More things have changed, stayed the same, even in the past year for me. Gotcha. Okay, yeah, because it does hurt, but you're gonna survive. I remember this friend finally when this friendship, I watched it die slowly, and then when it finally cut off, it was kind of like weird. It hurt. And I definitely went through a time period of grief. And I definitely went through a time period of, it hurt for a while, and I was still, I'd think about him a lot and everything like that. And then, the more history I got under my belt of doing things, the stronger I was able to become and start to understand I was able to start to look at the relationship itself and see that it may not have been the healthiest of relationships anyway. But I had an attachment there, right? And so, but the other thing is as I watched it die slowly, a lot of the attachment had kind of unraveled throughout that process. And so then by the time it happened, by the time I got blocked and unfriended and everything like that, I'd already been through the really hard part. And then, I was able to pick up and kind of move forward. But it's still, I look back on that experience and I fight with existence. I fight with God. I pray and I fight with him. It's amazing, right? And I fight against existence, but there is one thing I can say for sure, because now I'm digging into this whole question of existence and what's the meaning of life and blah 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 blah, and what's the purpose of my life while I'm here, all this kind of stuff, and I'm still like in this battle with like wouldn't it just be better if none of it existed at all? I'm still fighting. Maybe it's just because I'm stubborn, but I do know for sure that life is rich with experience. Life is rich with flavors, physical taste, flavors, smells, sights, sounds. Life is rich. It's rich with emotion. It's rich with other people around us. We have a very rich existence.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
And I can say that for sure. There is a lot that we can experience in this life. And that pain you feel, it's love. And I want to sink that in a little bit. Love is painful. We think of love as the happy joy, like, oh my gosh, it's so grand and we feel so good and everything. But when we love somebody, it can hurt. And you know what that tells us? It tells us how valuable that is. If we're willing to suffer or anything, think about it. Anything that we suffer for is valuable to us. We things that cost a lot of money, we work really hard and suffer through that effort to earn the money, and it costs us because it's highly valuable. love is highly valuable. And so it causes us to experience this pain. And I'm sorry. I know it hurts. It can feel downright awful. It can mess with our brains. It can mess with our hearts. And I'd encourage you to find, somebody, you can talk to a counselor or a therapist or whatever if it's getting to this point. Like, maybe that's the route you should take, is start to look into that, Anonymous. I know that it's been very helpful for me. Thank you, cats. No matter how much or how often people hurt each other, loving someone is never a waste. There are times I disagree with that statement, but that's probably just my own neuroticism. Because here's the thing, the experience of loving someone is a gift, no matter what. And Anonymous, I do want to say again, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I'm so sorry that you're experiencing this pain, this flood of emotion, this whirlwind, this jealousy, this rage, all this stuff that kind of compounds, and it can like whip us up into a frenzy and like we can't even see straight half the time. And then you're wondering what to do. And I know it's hard. But when you can understand about yourself that you are worth loving and you are loved, man, a lot of this stuff can start to smooth out a little bit. And you'll start to understand, like Nyansai said, that you can handle it no matter what happens. Whether this person decides to stay or leave, you can handle it. Whether your partner decides to stay or leave, you can handle it. I mean, I'm still here, and I've experienced all that. Friendships, romantic relationships, all that. I've had it all crash and burn. I've had it all. Some friendships have stayed. And I'm still here. And I tell you, yep, Kendra, God loves us so much, he gave up his son just so we'd have the chance to be with him. And Ronia says, God's the greatest warriors battle the toughest wars. God's greatest warriors battle the toughest wars. At the same time, I don't remember signing up. Yeah. Yep. But here's the thing. All these things build toughness in you. You will be able to handle more as you grow. And this is definitely a growing experience, and it can be painful. So, Anonymous, I love you. I don't know who you are. I don't have to. But I know that what you're going through is deeply painful. And it just shows how rich you are. And I don't know. I think that's about all. I've gone on my tirade. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. And Ryan, sorry if I messed up everything, but
you didn't miss anything, man. That's great. I don't have anything to add. I think that was great, and I think I'm ready to close that one out. I think I said everything that would come to my mind that was important hopefully important for this individual, and I think you did a great job as well. I can't follow up anything you said with anything more, so I'm ready to close it out. At least this one.
All right. Cool. Anonymous, thank you so much for the topic, and I hope that it makes sense. I hope that we were able to be helpful.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, yeah. Anyway, you're amazing. And if you want to reach out to me on Discord, I'm at plebnub. I don't know if you'd want to after I went through my whole spiel. But you can reach out to Static P. He's the nice one.
Yeah, you can reach out to me. I don't care.
But anyway, thank you, Anonymous, very much
Mm-hmm.
for the topic,
Yeah.
and feel
Yeah.
free to stay in touch. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's move on. Ronia, I see that you're here. We have a topic of yours called "Quitting a Good Job" from a few weeks ago. Is Would you like us to do that topic?
Yeah. And do you have any updates? If you would. If you
Mm-hmm.
want us to do it, have any updates on the matter, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
If you've made any decisions or moved forward with it.
Yeah. I can turn this thing off. Uh, your grandpa tells you to always be kind.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Be kind, rewind. Boy, that dates me. When you go to the video store and you get a VHS tape, you'd rent a VHS tape to watch a movie.
Oh, that's right. And it would say, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't steal the car. You Some people are like, I have. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Ronia, since you're here, we're gonna go ahead and do your topic. Um, and yeah, if you have any updates, let us know in the chat. But I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put this up on the screen, and then you guys can read along while I read it aloud. And this is called "Quitting a Good Job" from Ronia. And it goes like this. Generally, I've enjoyed life, especially now. However, now I've been getting the sense of feeling that it's about time to look for something else. I've been working for 6 months now. All my coworkers are amazing, love the atmosphere, and pay for part time is decent. When is a good time to leave a job? Because of wonderful people, I feel encouraged to go back to school and then also have to work another job. I feel like a tearing and I can't understand what should happen. Um,
Mm,
and that's from Ronia. Thank you, Ronia, for the
mm,
topic.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I,
thank you.
when is a good time to leave a job? I will say generally when you have another one lined up or you have something lined up to go to. That's logistically speaking, I would say. Um, yeah, that I have left jobs with no prospect of another job, and that is generally the most difficult situation you can sign up for. It's easier
Mm,
if you line up something to go to before you leave the current job, right? Because the longer we stay unemployed, the harder and harder it gets, and the more and more we start to beat ourselves up. The more the it's almost like the less attractive we look to these prospective employers as well. You know, the longer we've been employed. If we have a job already, and we go and we start seeking another job, you don't have to tell the people at your current job that you're doing this, by the way. In fact, I would recommend not. um but uh yeah, I would say line something up first. That's just from the logistical standpoint. But I don't know, I've had lots of different jobs, and I've
mm,
left a bunch of them. And usually
mm-hmm.
when I've left a job, at least in the past few years, I've left a job because I had another one that, like took over the amount of money I was making at that one. And so there was no point in me keeping at the other job. I was working two or three jobs, and, I didn't need to keep one of them. Why torture myself? You know, like,
Mm, yeah.
but anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to turn over to Ryan. Excited to see what Ryan has to say. So Ryan, it is all
I'll give
yours,
it
my
my
friend.
best shot. Yeah, I hope I can lead you in a good direction, and I'll attempt to do so by looking at a bigger picture. You know, you say you like your job. You like the people in it. The pay is decent. Um, and they're encouraging over there. That's awesome. And also, you said generally you've enjoyed life, especially now. I, I just want to say that's great. That's awesome. I'm happy about that. Makes me happy. That makes me happy to hear. So that's great, Ronia. That's awesome. Um, and here's the thing. So you're quitting this job, or you're sort of thinking about quitting it because you have school that you want to go go into, and so you'll need more time, right? And also you already have another job, it seems. Is that correct? Is that correct information? You already have another job that you're working at the same time. Um, I'm curious why you choose to quit one job over the other for the schooling. Um, but yeah, in order to attempt to help you. By the way, any feedback is greatly appreciated, Ronia. But in order to help you, I'm gonna try to put life, all of life, on a display for you to maybe look at, because sometimes when we're making decisions like this, whether they're small or big, um, it's a good way to get direction, or a good way to get solidarity or justification or uh, motivation, any of those, is to clearly define sort of what life is about for you. Because a lot of times when we get ourselves aligned with recognizing what's life about, what should I be looking for, what are good things, um, it can help us to back up certain plans. And you can build a pros versus cons list, but the amount of cons versus the amount of pros is not a way to judge whether you pick something or you don't. It's how impactful those pros and cons are. Are the cons so severe that it's not worth the pros, right? Are the pros really great and it's like, oh yeah, this is what I'm after in life, and the cons are just like, yeah, that's par for the course, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's important to figure out, like, what's life about, because sometimes when you're tasked with choosing something, like letting go of something that's good, you have to ask yourself, what's so great that I need to let go of this good thing?
Mm.
And that's not a statement of, oh, what's so great about that? More, it's a question of, like, legitimately, what is the greatness out there which I'm reaching for? What is the greatness which I am reaching for? So that when you are compelled to act, you know that you act with a sense of sincerity and a sense of um, closure, contentment, not contempt, but content, whatever. Anyways, a sense of, why you're doing it. And so, anyways, okay, you haven't given any answers to me quite yet, but that's fine. Um, so here's what I'd say. Marunia, you'd have to do your own work here, but it's like, look at life. Personally, I believe in God, and all of that atmosphere, and the spiritual. And so, personally, when I look at the big picture, that's kind of where I see, and it helps me point myself in a direction. For you, I don't know what that is. I don't know what points you in your directions. But if you're looking and trying to figure out when's a good time to leave your job, because you've decided that for whatever reason, um, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, for whatever reason you've decided, um, it is the best thing you can do at this point in your life is to leave the job that you have, that you enjoy, that pays decent, and that you are working with coworkers which are amazing. And something you're chasing after is better than those three things. And I have to tell you, any one of those three things, there are many people in the world that would love to just have just one of those three things. They wish they had a job that, regardless of how it doesn't pay well and that it's not fun to do, they wish they had a job where at least their coworkers are amazing,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not. Or someone would say, man, I wish, despite how ridiculous this job is, I wish it paid decent, decent, even just a little bit more. Or people would say, you know what? I wish I enjoyed my time at my job. I mean, that one especially, most people. Most people would wish for that, if nothing else. I wish I loved the atmosphere at my job. I wish I enjoyed the job, but they don't. So what you have already is something that a lot of people want. So what you're leaving to go do better be good, right? It better be more important to you than what most other people desire out of a job,
Mm.
right? So my question is, I guess one of my questions is, why did you decide you wanted to leave the job? What are you leaving to? And why are you leaving this job and not the other one? Is it for money? Is the pay rate at the other job better? Um, is going to school going to land you more opportunities with even better jobs in the future? I'm not trying to point you in a direction that says, "Oh, you already have it made. Stand still." I'm not, but I'm trying to get you to rack your brain over what am I committed to? Because I already have it made, according to some people, according to a lot of people. So, what am I quitting towards? What am I
Mm.
and instead of saying you're quitting, I guess you're more sort of moving on. You're moving on in life. You're moving down the next set of paths. And so quitting isn't really the right term because if you have a direction, it's not quitting, right? So, quitting, I would say quitting is more often associated with I give up. I can't do this anymore. But you're moving forward. So you're continuing on to your next step, which involves stopping working at one place so that you can engage your time in another place, an area. So, anyways, my point is study that. And once you know your answer about what you're quitting to, why you think it's important, where this road will take you, or where you hope it will take you, um, the answer of when is a good time will be as soon as the opportunity to shoot for the new path comes, right? I think that's the answer. Like, if you have a path ahead of you that's motivating you to quit something or to end something that's really great, but you know that there's something greater out there. When it comes time that you have to choose the greater path, then it's time to choose the greater path.
Mm.
And you can know ahead of time when that time's coming. Like, oh, I know school starts in about, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. You can tell the people that you're working with that, hey, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. I'm going to be resigning on this day. I'm going to be quitting my career here on this date to pursue this other thing, this next path in my journey of life. And so you do so. I think, yeah, I love to learn and I'd like to learn more skills. Awesome.
Mm.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Um, so yeah, my best suggestion is figure out when it is that that new path opens up for you to start going. And then tell the people at your workplace that that's when it happens, and that that's the day that you will no longer have the time to give yourself as a gift to that job, and that maybe someday you'll come back, but you know um, you'll get there when you get there, and it feels like wherever you're going is important to your own life, so you should do that, absolutely. So when's a good time to quit? When the new path is opening up.
Mm-hmm.
That's my best answer. I mean, you can quit before that so that you have more time to prepare, I guess, or time to relax before your new big adventure, I guess. But yeah, that's fine too. But anyhow, that's what I got. And I'm going to give it back over to Joe and see what he's got.
Thanks, Ryan. And yeah, that's absolutely the case. As it opens up, that's a very good time to look into leaving. And it's always best to leave on the best terms possible. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember leaving. I gave a company that I was leaving a job from. I gave them 30 days notice, and I thought that was adequate. And then it
Mm.
turned out I still ended up getting blacklisted by this company, right?
Mm.
So like there was no getting a job there ever again, right? And it
Oh,
was
man.
weird. But yeah, like um I don't know. I've experienced a lot of job transitions. I've had close friends who've experienced a lot of job transitions. Um I don't think I've ever been legitimately fired ever. I've had friends of mine get laid off
Mm-hmm.
before or fired, and that can be an abrupt, ending to things. But a lot of times that's why the unemployment system is in place, because like when you get fired or when you get laid off, like you got to still be able to pay your bills, and it's not like you had time to prepare. A lot of times, they just ditch you. So you're definitely in a good position here where it's like, okay, you've got new things on the horizon. You have a reason. You have like what Ryan was talking about. You have steps you want to take to a better future than where you're at now. And that's great. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like, for whatever reason, whether it's location um, or just time, like, especially as I think said you're going to school, you're going back to school, and you'll have to work another job when you get there. So maybe that's either location or time or whatever. But you're moving forward in your life, and that's good. And sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
we do that. We go from one job to another in a forward type motion, and that's good. That's growth. So I'm proud of you. But yeah, it's okay. Ronia says I'm definitely planning on heading somewhere and doing something else. So yeah, that's awesome. And you know, life can be a great adventure. And I look back at all the different jobs that I've had, and some of them were terrible. I can't. Hmm. One of the worst jobs I ever had was a car wash in the winter.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. I remember that was definitely the worst job you ever had. I
Worst.
experienced you having that job, and that was the worst job you ever had, man. It was horrible.
Like the owner of the place was like crazy, and but the
That
worst
was worse
part,
than the job where they didn't pay you.
yeah, I left the car wash to go to work at the job that they didn't pay me at.
Yeah.
Because I wanted out of there, right? But the
Yeah.
worst part, I'll never forget. I went in there and I was sick. I was super sick, and like I
Mhm.
had this like sinus ear thing going on, but I had to work or else, because I needed the money so bad, and we were broke, and we were struggling, and it was the dead of winter, and it was freezing cold out. It was like January, and oh man, And I was like, all right, I gotta go to work. I gotta go. And it's the car wash. And I'm like, and it's gonna be cold and I'm gonna be wet and I'm probably gonna get sicker. And I'm like, ugh. And then the car wash breaks down. And so then I have to like climb down in underneath like where there's a chain that pulls cars through a car wash, right? And under there is this pit where the chain is, and there if the chain is broken down in there, you got to find it, and it's dark, and all the stuff that comes off the bottoms of people's cars is like
Oh.
in there, and it's gross. And I can remember just laying down in this muck that smelled like sewage, and it was cold, and I was just like, I was laying in this stuff, and I'm like working on this chain, and my hands are freezing cold, and I can hardly get these cotter pins back into the chains, and I'm just like, I'm making how much money per hour doing this? Like, what in the world? I haven't figured it out yet. Okay, apparently I haven't figured life out yet. Because here I am,
Man.
I'm sick, and I'm laying in this puddle of gross car wash residue nastiness, and like I'm freezing cold. And I just remember being in there, just like having this moment of like a moment of realization. Thank you, Riku. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I can't even, ugh, it was disgusting. But anyway, I've had other jobs that were great, and I've had jobs that I've owned a few different businesses, and that I like the freedom involved with owning my own business, with being my own boss. That's definitely cool. But a lot of things, as I look back, I had to take steps backwards sometimes to take steps forward.
Mm.
So don't be afraid of that. Don't be
That's a good
afraid
point.
as you move on, like sometimes, like whatever society tells you the rules are, or whatever the guidelines are of moving up in the world or whatever like that, don't even listen. Society is wrong. Because
Yeah,
sometimes,
society's twisted. People
eh,
just want to control you.
yeah, it's true. People want to control you. And like I can remember, I had a decent job that I could have had as a career job for a long time, and for like for my career, my adult life. And I
Mm.
left that for family reasons, and then I was never able to go back. Um and I can remember getting all kinds of flack about, you know, from the same family members who wanted me to leave that job when I didn't have a job for a while and I needed to find something. And then they were like, well, that's not a step forward. I'm like, well, no, I took a big step backward when I left this job for you. Like, so, but they had all this society programming in there of like, well, you're not going to make as much money as you were making. No, but I need to make something. I need to make some money. And so I don't care what it is, like, so don't be afraid as you move forward. Sometimes the biggest steps you will make forward are steps inside that are forward steps. To the outside
Hmm.
world, it'll look like a big backward step, right? And it could be emotional, it could be painful, and it could be hard. And, you might get criticized, and that's totally okay. Because as long as you know inside, you're doing what you can to move toward the goal that you have set for yourself. Because there were goals, there were things that I had in mind that I was moving toward. One of them is where I am right now with BSS. This has been on my radar screen
Hmm.
that whole time. And every step, whether it looked like a forward step or a backward step, was a forward step in the direction of where I am right now. And this is just one step forward to where we have envisioned going as a company, right? And so it inspires me when someone is willing to take a step forward like you are right now. You're going to go back to school, you're going to learn some new stuff, you're going to have a different job, and you're going to have to leave something behind in order to do it. That is inspiring to me. That's the drama of life right there. And it's beautiful. Because as we take these steps, the world around us, like people can judge us. People can look at us funny. Now, a lot of times going back to school is generally speaking, a respected course of action. So I hope you don't catch too much flack from the people around you. But it's possible, I suppose. But yeah, I would say, when's the best time to leave a job? Or when is a good time to leave a job? When you've got some stuff lined up, when it's starting to unfold, like Ryan said, or if you have things kind of arranged and you want to take some time off, that's okay too. And maybe you're already past this and we're just kind of, talking and, you're like, I've already made the decisions, I've already jumped or whatever, maybe, I don't know. But because I know the topic's been sitting here for a few weeks, so maybe it's already happened. But either way,
Yep. Sorry about that.
Either way, when it's generally right when you have stuff kind of lined up to jump to, right? And that's generally the course of action. After jumping to nothing during one of the biggest recessions in American history, I can tell you that's not a good idea to jump with nothing else lined up. Because then you might end up in the gutter of a car wash when you're sick in the January in the muck trying to fix a chain on a car wash. But I can remember, man, I had frozen pant legs. Like I'd go walk into my car, my pants would be frozen. It's crazy. That's where I also learned. What's that?
They crunch as you sit down.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's great. That was also where I learned that if your fingers or your feet are cold, put on a hat. So I learned something there. I learned something good. This was before I was bald, so I had hair too, right? But, if your extremities are cold, put on a hat. It'll keep most of the heat from leaving your body, and it'll keep the rest of your body cold, or keep the rest of your body warm. So anyway, I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but yeah, hopefully you got the picture, and hopefully it's helpful. But yeah, so Ronia, thank you. Ryan, did you have anything else you wanted to speak on this topic?
No, I don't have anything else. I don't think I can assist any further. But Roni, I think that this is great. I'm glad you're moving forward in life, and things have been well for you. That makes me really happy to hear, and I'm proud of you. I think you're awesome, and I encourage you to just keep taking those steps forward, even if it means leaving good things behind for something greater. I think that's the right step to do. And so, way to go. Yeah.
And I'm proud of you. I always enjoy when people are taking steps forward.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really cool thing, and it excites me when I see this stuff happening. Because, yeah, moving forward is great. So, Ronia, my best wishes to you, and yeah, if you run into anything else, feel free to let us know. Hopefully, we can be helpful. Hopefully, that was helpful.
Hope so.
Yeah, like what Ryan was saying though, like to have that atmosphere, if your coworkers are amazing, you love the atmosphere, and the pay is decent, man. That's a good job.
Yeah.
And it can be hard to leave it.
Yeah. Even if the pay isn't as high as you like, I want to be like rich, so this isn't it. It's like fair. But what you got is good. What you got is definitely good. So, And it's okay to leave the good. It's just it's important to appreciate and to recognize, like, yeah, that's awesome.
Hmm.
That's great.
Well, and it fosters a sense of gratitude too. And I'm learning that
Yes.
that to be thankful is such a it can be such a balm when
Mm.
especially when things aren't going our way or all that kind of stuff. When you find stuff to be thankful for, having they always talk about the attitude of gratitude, and I hate that saying because it's cheesy and corny and cliche and dumb. But
I've never used it,
you've never
so
used
you're
it.
welcome.
Thank you for never using it.
I agree with you completely. It's catchy, but it's cheesy, and I
It
don't like
is
that.
cheesy and dumb. You're
I don't
absolutely
like
right.
its variety of cheesiness. Cheesiness is fine. I just don't like that variety of cheese, I guess.
Mm, gotcha. Oh, Ronia, you're absolutely welcome. So you do feel like it's taking steps back. But you know what? You're sometimes we go backwards to go forwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many jobs have I had since you've known me, Ryan?
Oh, dude. I don't know. A lot. I can't even.
Some of them were steps backwards, some of them were steps forwards, some of them were.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Side steps.
Yep, yep.
Some of you were sidestepping something, yeah.
Well, but all of it was stuff that was forward motion, right? Because sometimes you
Yeah.
just do what you have to do in order to get you through while you're pursuing what it is you're pursuing, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
people who
absolutely.
people who go to school to, who go to grad school and they've got to work their way through grad school or whatever to become, professionals in whatever field as doctors, attorneys, whatever, right? And, it can feel like they take a big step backwards. They're eating rice and beans for 3 years while they work a job that doesn't pay very well and might not be the greatest of
Mhm.
bosses or whatever, but they're in school and they're studying hard and they're working. I mean, that kind of work ethic inspires me. I see,
Mhm.
man, I've heard all kinds of inspiring stories. People who are,
That's
student
great you.
teaching and working other jobs because they're going to be a teacher, like all this stuff. And it blows my mind that student teachers aren't paid. Like,
I
I,
know.
I
It's
feel like they
crazy.
should be,
Yeah, I feel
right?
like you're breaking laws there.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Interns.
it doesn't feel
Mhm.
like it should be legal, but it
Yeah,
inspires me when I
'cause
see
it's
people
mandatory. Uh,
working toward working toward some kind of a goal of a profession, and I don't know, that kind of thing. It inspires me. So thank you for being an
mm.
inspiration. Yeah, as I says, I had to take a big step forward to move forward before. It worked out great so far. If you want it, go for it. Yes, Enrico, you can still walk towards your goal even if you're walking backwards. Humans are able of walking backwards for a reason. Yup. So stick your butt at your goal and walk backwards.
Mhm. Yeah, sometimes that's the only way to watch your back. Turn around and walk backwards.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's awesome. So, Ronia, thank you. And
Mhm.
yeah, keep
Thank you.
us posted. We'd be happy to hear how things go. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, we're getting to that point. We got like 4 minutes till 10.
Okay. Well, anyone got a 4-minute topic?
4 minute topic. Speed run. Who's
4 minute
got a speed run
speed
topic?
run. Yeah. Uh,
Can we get that in static P quotes? I don't know. What? Sometimes
which quote? Which
the
one?
cheese out of a cannon. Wyatt is bad. You're gonna be a
Oh,
godmother, but see the Riku. The thing about cheese in a can is that it's good.
squeezed cheese
Yeah.
is the only cheese that I know of that comes in a can. Are there other cheeses that come in cans? Okay. Riku, what if it was like, like those matzo balls? Like the mozzarella balls that are like awesome, and you put them on like a margarita pizza or anything that you're doing fancy like a caprese or anything like that. Um, what about those? What if, because they come in plastic, right? But imagine it could come in a can. There's no reason it couldn't come in a can. It comes in plastic, so can would work. What if you had one of those mozzarella balls, but instead it came out of a can and it was shaped like the can, just like what's that? What's that? Beets? What is that?
Oh,
Well, no, what is it?
that's cranberry sauce.
Cranberry
Jellied
sauce. Yeah,
cranberry.
the cranberry jelly sauce that comes out shaped just like the can. It would be that, except for like, yeah, or like feta. Yeah, feta comes. Yeah, for sure. Feta comes in water. Yeah, you could, or it's is it water? I guess it's partly water. It's whey, I
Honestly,
think.
I'd rather have squeezed cheese than feta cheese.
Not on a salad, man.
Yeah, on a salad.
What about like in a burrito?
Yeah, in a burrito.
Okay. Dang, man. That's all. That's wow.
I'll
I'm
put squeezed
surprised.
cheese
I've
on
never heard
everything.
anyone
I'll
say
put
that before.
squeezed cheese on a spoon and I'll eat
I'll
it.
put squeezed cheese on a light bulb just to watch it cook.
And then eat it off with a light bulb.
Mm-hmm. Turn it off
Mm-hmm.
first, just make sure you don't burn your tongue. Just a suggestion out there for those who are, professional chefs. Turn the light
Professional
bulb
chefs.
off. Yeah.
Not a
I don't
big cheese.
trust you, Joe. Nah, man. Yeah. It can't be good.
It
Not a big
is
cheese
though.
fan. Yeah.
It is though. It goes good on macaroni and cheese. Even I learned that it goes good on bacon. It goes good on macaroni and cheese. It goes good on who said
Wait,
nacho cheese Doritos? Somebody said nacho cheese Doritos.
what, squeeze cheese?
Yeah, cheese in a can is only good on nacho Doritos. Kendra said that.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm. I love mac and cheese. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like mac and cheese, like the most basic form of mac and cheese, like Kraft boxed mac and cheese,
That's the
or
best
are we
kind.
talking mac and cheese that's like gourmet, like they've gone all out to make like the most like well seasoned macaroni cheese and like the perfect noodle density and all that kind of stuff. Like which kind do you like?
Kendra says homemade, no other way. I like the
Yeah.
box. It's almost like the more homemade it gets, the less I like it.
Yeah. That's so the macaroni and cheese kind of tastes like rubber
Box
with
mac and
with
cheese?
cheese on it. Yeah, box mac and cheese reminds me of it. I'm not saying I dislike it. It's yummy.
Oh,
But it reminds me of like rubber with with powdered cheese sauce.
yeah,
It's good.
yeah,
I'm not complaining. It's
yeah.
good. But that's what it's like. It's like,
It's
is this a plastic? I don't know, man. It's great.
it's weird, and if you get like the off-brand kind, like the really cheap kind, I remember
Oh.
they have the private label store label brands, and then
Okay.
there's like the craft kind,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like the store
Sure.
label brand is like it's like this weird neon orange.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's right. Yeah, it's a questionable color, and you're like, how?
like
No, cheese doesn't come in this color. This is neon. It's intense, yeah.
yep, yep. Super good though, I'll tell you what.
Actually kind of reminds me of like Doritos in a way.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of like that. It's
Hmm.
fantastic. Poor
Yeah.
Riku. I'm so sorry. And
Yeah.
Kendra, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know you like homemade mac and cheese. Hey, what did I say before? This life is rich with experiences.
It sure is. Yeah, and we don't all experience the same, which is incredible. The more fake the cheese, the more Joe likes it. Yeah, I know,
Yes,
right? I think
yes.
that J- maybe it's not necessarily that Joe likes cheese. Joe likes whatever fake cheese actually is,
Maybe that's it.
which is totally fine.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. He, what is that substance? I don't know. I
it's
don't know what it is.
artificial cheese food. I think is what I've seen it
It's
called
got
before.
it is dairy. It is actually dairy, but it doesn't have a culture, I think.
Mm.
Because I've
Ooh,
seen the
there's
squeeze cheese cans, and I think they say real dairy. in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's actual milk in it.
There is.
It's milk powder. Basic. Oh my gosh, Joe, you like condensed milk powder.
Cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
That stuff's great.
I
I
chop it
love
up
milk
and I
powder.
put it in lines and I
Powdered
snort
milk, I
it up my
mean.
nose. And that, I'm kidding. That's not the right way to do powdered
Powdered milk,
milk.
yeah. What do you mean?
I said I chop it up into lines and I snort it in my nose.
Yeah, it's not the right way.
Milk powder? Powdered milk?
Have I been
Oh,
doing
that's
it
how you
wrong?
do it too? I was just saying I
Yeah,
don't
it's great,
recommend
man.
it.
I don't think I've snorted anything. No, I haven't snorted a single thing in my entire life.
We are not
Other
professionals.
than accidental, like, oh, that went up my nose. Ugh.
Try powdered milk with carbonated water. Ooh.
With carbonated water?
I would, you know what?
Buttermilk?
I've
Yes, I have.
never
It's
made
great.
buttermilk, and I've tried buttermilk. I don't like it. I like butter and I like milk. And so you would think buttermilk would be like buttery milk, but it is not.
It is not.
Mm-hmm. Milk with vinegar. Interesting. Oh,
Yeah,
since
that's right.
yeah, it's meant for baking. You're right. You snorted many oxygen. Hey.
Ooh, druggy. What are you snorting over there? Pure H2O. Oh, that's like
H2O. That's water. You want to snort some water?
Yeah. Well, that's what happens, man. It's in the air. You can't help it.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do?
Instant spoiled milk. If you put carbonated water and milk, if you put milk in carbonated water, it's spoiled. Ugh.
Oh, that's great. O2. Yeah, that's right. It's O2.
Yeah,
oxygen.
not H2O.
Well, I just added the H for extra nutrients.
Oh, yes. Hydrogen.
Yeah, my body breaks it
Give me
down anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hydrogenated
Yeah.
oxygen is water.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we drink it. Just our body's like. I was trying to find another way to get more O2.
But that's not O2. That's O.
Well, H2O, and then once you separate out the H's, the O's combined to become
But
back into O2.
H2O2 is that's hydrogen peroxide, right?
Ooh, is it? I don't know.
H2O2,
That's great,
I
though.
think. O3 for the
O3
extra
for the
oxygen.
extra. You can.
That's ozone, and that will probably kill you.
You can O3. Like, you actually can, but that's... Yeah, exactly.
Yep, it is ozone.
You don't want it.
It's very good for
Your body
getting rid
can't
of
break down
odors, though.
O3.
It's really good for, like, if you need to deodorize a place, like, they would put ozone generators in, like, places that had burned, because what it does is it encapsulates all that. It's highly reactive, and so, like, as it reacts with all these things, it, like, encapsulates them, they fall to the ground, and it gets rid of the odors really, really well, like when you've had a house fire or something like that.
DW, that's awesome. I remember there's like a little skit, like a webcomic, and someone's like, "What are you drinking?" They're like, dihydrogen oxide. Yeah, dihydrogen oxide. And they're like, "Is that okay to be drinking?" It's like, "Yeah, I drink it all the time." It's like that sounds bad. I don't think you're supposed to be drinking chemicals, man. You drink it all the time too.
Science, yes.
Dihydrogen oxide, yeah.
Chemistry. Better living through chemistry.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you for the 4-minute plus 6-minute burn.
Yeah,
great
you guys
topics,
were awesome.
Jeez. Chemicals. That's where we started.
I know. This is hey, welcome. This is Don't Worry Wednesday. It's what we do. We go on tangents sometimes, right?
Yeah, you get what you get. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much for being here for Don't Worry Wednesday. Thank you guys for your topics and everything, and for hanging out with us in the chat. You guys are amazing.
Yes.
We love you so much.
Lovely.
And we love hanging out with you guys. So yes, hopefully we will see you all again in a week.
Kendra. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you then.
Mm-hmm. And until then, enjoy yourselves. Have a wonderful, wonderful
Mm-hmm.
time in this rich existence that we all get to experience. And if you have
Mm-hmm.
a topic, once again, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and feel free to send us something to talk about. Otherwise, we'll go on tangents again like this. This was pretty fun. You know, we like doing that too. We'll talk about
Sure.
whatever. We just enjoy hanging out with you. So, you guys have fun. We'll see you next week. Love you guys.
Bye now. Peace.
Bye bye.